Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Mountain Harmony Gardening. I'm Kristen, and today it's time to start planting, and we're going to be planting our zucchini vertical like we did last year. I had such good success with growing the zucchini vertical last year that I am doing it again. But we're changing up the bed this year because I noticed I planted the zucchini way too close together and they needed just a little bit more space. So what I'm going to do is we had taken out the fennel that was all in this whole area last year. That way I will have a little bit more room for them, and I'm going to be planting 6 plants and they're going to have a little bit more space in here. And at the end, I'm going to plant 2 broccolis because I did have 1 broccoli in here and it did really well last year. So I'm going to plant a couple of broccoli here at the end. And then at the back, over in this area here, I am going to be planting the huckleberry and the tomatillos. But I'm not planting them yet because they are in the nightshade family and it's still just a touch too cold for them at this time of the year. But it's okay to go ahead and start all of our zucchini. And I'm going to be planting the broccoli too, and I'll show you how I do that as well. Plus, we'll be planting all the pockets around here. Well, almost all the pockets, because I do want to put some peppers in the pockets over there, and of course, nightshade family. Still a bit early to plant. So I am also going to have Donnie building me some custom cages soon that will actually hold up to the weight of the huckleberries and the tomatillos, because tomato cages do not cut it. So let's get to planting. So let's talk spacing. Each of these plants that I'm talking about planting in here need a lot of space. So you can measure this out if you want to, but I'm kind of just going to eyeball it because what I need to do is I need to divide this bed in 3. So I'm probably going to go right about here, and I'm going to just make a line just like that. And then I'm going to come around to the other side. I'm just going to make another line in the soil just to kind of show that I have 3 equal portions. Now I need to get 4 plants in here. Even though I'm only doing 6 of the zucchini, I need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 leftover spaces at the end for the broccoli. The broccoli does not get as large as the zucchini does. So it doesn't need quite as much space. So I'm going to give it a little bit less space. So I'm going to make a line here. And that should be good. Now I need to divide this into thirds again. And you can see that I'm giving them just a little bit more space than I was the broccoli. So there we go. All right. This back area I'm not planting today, so I'm not worried about dividing this up. I'll divide it up here in probably a week or 2 because the plants are still kind of small and I want them to get a lot larger so they can fend off the roly-polies, even though I'm going to be putting cups around them. So now that I have my spacing, what I'm going to need to do that I found out last year is you want to put in the stakes first. As soon as you put the plants in, like if you grow these from seed, put these in first and then plant your plants. I'm doing all this from seed because I ended up having to replant so much of this because of the roly-polies, and everything did so well I couldn't tell what I had planted from seed and what I hadn't, that I decided instead of taking up all the space inside this year, I'm just doing it from seed. So I'm going to have Donnie give me a hand and we're going to put in all of the stakes. Okay, so Donnie had all the stakes in for me, and you can actually see the 2 holes where 2 of the stakes were. And I realized something from last year. When I had this pattern where there was one behind the other one, it was really hard for me to actually reach them to tie them up. So I decided to change this a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 on the end because I can reach all of these when I'm walking around. And even the one here, but you could see we got camera stuff sitting here and such, but I could still reach this one that's over here. And this way, I'm able to tie them up a little bit easier. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the broccoli behind them here, and we're still gonna have the tomatillos and the huckleberries on that side. That way it's easier for me to maintain because the broccoli, they don't need any help. And once I put in the cages, the tomatillos, they'll be totally fine. But the tomatillos and the huckleberries get the largest, so I want them further away so that the zucchini and the broccoli get all the sunshine because they don't grow quite as tall up here. So the way that you plant these, and I'll come around over here, is really easy. So I'm gonna alternate. So I'm gonna do one of the golden and then one of the black beauties and just kind of alternate them around. All right. So I'm gonna take 3 seeds and I'm gonna put them really close to the stake. That was another mistake that I made last year is I put them out right about here. And when they started growing, it was actually harder to keep pulling them towards the stake because the bottom of the stem was too far away. So you want to plant these right against the stake. So I'm going to make a little hole, smush them down in there, and plant them. And it is that far away from the stake. And I'm going to do this with each of the plants. So I'll be right back after I have all these planted. So here's one of the culprits for the reason why I don't have mulch on any of my garden beds, because we have so many of these guys that I have to put cups with the bottoms cut out around all of my seedlings. So they're not decomposers completely. If they see a nice, beautiful young plant, they eat them. And I have that on video from last year. And I know I've talked about this a lot of times, but this is my solution. They cannot get inside of these cups I found last year. So this is what I'm doing. And I do not want to lose my broccoli because I lost all of my huckleberries last year. All right, so the spacing that we're going to do is, because these are a little bit further apart, I can actually get 3 plants. So I'm just going to kind of put the cups where I want them so I know what my spacing is going to be. And then let me go grab my trowel over here. And yes, I am walking through my garden bed, but this is probably the only time that I will be doing this. And I'm not compacting the soil too much. It's not like I walk in here every single day. All right. So I roughly know that I want it right about there. So I'm going to dig out a little bit of the soil. Pretty simple. Oh, you know what I forgot? I got to go get all of my stuff that I put in before I plant because I'm not planting seeds. I'll be right back. So I go to get all the soil amendments and I come back with the birdhouse. So our neighbor across the way hand makes these. Look how beautiful this is. And it's actually fence from his mom's house. He was putting up a new fence and saved all the wood. I mean, look at the detail on this. It's absolutely gorgeous. So in the description, I will put a link to his email address. And if you want one of these beautiful birdhouses, just send him an email. All right, I'm going to set this down. Okay. Now, I have Acimite, BioLive, and then also the mycorrhizae. I'm almost out of this. I need to order some more because this is not going to make it through the whole entire yard. So luckily we're not doing as much today. All right, so now Donnie's going to go around to the other side because I think it'll be a little bit easier for you to see what I'm doing. Okay, take out some more roly-polies while I'm at it. All right, now just want to dig out a little hole because these aren't that deep. And I always put a little sprinkle of the Acimite because I want to be putting some of this minerals back into the soil. Just a little sprinkle like that. And then the BioLive, I started using this last year and I really like it. So I take a little bit of the BioLive. Oh, that's where one of my measuring cups went. It's in there. So that, and now for the mycorrhizae, you actually want this to be in contact with your roots when you're planting. So I'm just going to take out one of the broccolis right here. This looks like a nice one. And go open this up. And you just want to sprinkle a little bit of it on the roots. Mix this kind of in with it. And then just go ahead and plant it. Make sure to firm it down. And now, most importantly, you want to put this over that, and you want to sink it into the ground a little bit, so kind of twist it in, and then that way this will keep out the roly-polies. So I'll be right back after I have the other two planted. We're starting to get some sunshine in the garden and starting to warm up out here. You could probably hear mowing in the background and people are starting to come out. It's Mother's Day and I'm doing my favorite thing today, and I'm planting. All right, so a couple of things I wanted to talk about. You can see that I have 6 stakes here, and when you put them in, you can either put them at a point or leave them square like we did, but you want to drive them into the ground as far as you can get them because you want them really sturdy because the zucchinis do get pretty heavy. But you'll notice that this stake right here is actually our sunflower, and it went into the ground really well, had no issues with that. So this is kind of an experiment to see that if saving the sunflower stalks actually works. And now I have all the 3 broccoli planted, and I did have some more broccoli. I'm going to be doing something else in another video with those. But you'll notice that on those last 2, I actually did not thin them out. And there's a reason for that. They go into a little bit of transplant shock when you move them to outdoors, and they're staying out here. Well, these have been staying out here full time in their containers that I had them in. But you want to let them get established first before you thin them. And don't ever pull them out of the ground because it actually disrupts the root system. You actually want to cut them off. But I will show you that in another video when these get large enough. I'm probably going to let them get to where they're actually out of the cup a lot further and have a lot larger, stalks on them before I do that, because I want them well established. The next area that we're going to be planting in this is we're going to be planting all the pockets all the way around. And these over here are my snapdragons, and look at this. They came back this year and I already have flower buds on them. I was not expecting that at all. And the other ones are my yarrow, and I think this one, with the way these are starting to get bushy, oop, grasshopper, can't have that. Nope, no grasshoppers. Ooh, yucky. That was gross. But I think these are going to be flower spikes. They did not flower last year. Both of the snapdragons did, but neither the yarrow, and I have a couple more on this side as well, didn't. So I guess they need 2 years to get established. Makes sense. We have them in the wild here, up in the Rocky Mountains. So what I'm going to be planting in here is I have some snapdragons right here, and I have some more yarrow. I got a couple petunias, hollyhock, some other flowers. These are going in different areas. Some of this will be going in here, but I also want to save some of this area because it's really sunny for our peppers. So we have some pepper plants here, and look at these lemon peppers, these lemon jalapenos. They are doing so good this year. But all of this, it's still getting just a little bit too cold for them, so I don't want to put them in quite yet, but I need to save space for them because we're doing our peppers different this year. I had an experiment going last year where I put a couple of peppers in the pockets on that side, and they did really well. And since this is normally the pepper bed back here and it's now the Three Sisters bed, I want to do something different. So I'm going to be planting them in the pockets, but I need to save some of the sunniest, which you could probably tell because I'm probably washed out right about now on the camera, that this is probably one of the sunniest spots in my garden. So I want to make sure that I save a lot of these pockets up front for them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get to planting a little bit more. And once I'm done with this bed, I'm going to bring you guys back. I finally have all of the pockets planted. It's been several hours because we've been working on other areas of the garden besides just this. We actually planted a lot of the pockets on this side too. But I wanted to show you kind of what I've done here. So I've planted some of the seedlings, like there is a petunia, but you also see that I've got sticks sticking out of some of these. That is to mark where I have planted either nasturtiums, or this year I am putting beets in the pockets too. I figured, you know, beets only get about so big or so, they'll be perfect in the pockets. So I want to experiment and try that. They're also going somewhere else too, but I like to experiment in the garden, try something new. Hence why I grew zucchini vertical last year. So the last step that we will have to do is, once they're large enough, I will be planting the huckleberries and the tomatillos in this back section. And then all along those front pockets there, other than I do have some petunias over there, those will be peppers because I want them to be in full sun. So this garden, for now, is done. I still have the whole entire rest of the garden over here to do, but it's getting late. Donnie and I are both tired. We've been working for several hours out here. I think we're done for today. I'll tack this probably tomorrow after work. So if you have any questions on how to do any of this, just drop a question in the comments. I'd be happy to answer. So thanks for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Happy gardening, everyone.